Say good night.
Yep. They say never go into a prevent defense, man. You got to keep playing ball. Or
That's what we do.
You just got to keep playing ball.
Yeah, all of those words you said don't make sense, except that they do make sense. So thank you.
Go talk to your husband. He can mansplain.
He will know. He'll mansplain it to me.
He's Italian. He knows how to mansplain. We invented the game.
No, here's the thing. He doesn't mansplain. So sometimes he will, but mostly what he does is I will have an idea or lay out a plan or something, just something that is a new piece of information.
Right.
And anywhere from 20 minutes to 4 hours later, that's the range. He will walk in the room, and I'm not kidding you. He'll repeat back what I said as if it's his idea. And I'm like, and I go, I just said that 4 hours. What are you talking about? I said we should go do that. He'll be like, we should go do, and it's a thing I said 2 hours ago. It drives me nuts.
I do that to Serena sometimes, but usually when I tell her something and then she mansplains it back to me, I'll get the condescending voice out and go, "Oh, really?" Voice will go up 3 octaves. And
can't mansplain a mansplainer.
And then she points down towards her vagina and tells me, what year do you think you're going to see this thing again? That's it.
That's an effective play. That's that's the whistle game. Play is over.
Yeah, I'm a Bond girl. When do you think you're going to see this again?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself,
I'd like now.
I'm getting pretty old. Maybe never.
I might not have a lot of time left. I better play my cards right.
Come on, honey. Give daddy some loving. All right. So that just grossed out an entire audience. So
everyone's fine. They'll survive.
Yeah, I could do that now because Tallulah doesn't actually listen to the podcast anymore.
Right.
We got Lois.
Right.
So, she's not my daughter. I don't care what she thinks of me. I do kind of care because she is my girlfriend, my intimate girlfriend. And Tallulah, I would always have to guard myself a little bit. I'm going to talk about motivation for a minute.
Great. Motivate us. Holy Spirit, motivate.
Holy Spirit,
motivate.
Before I get into it, you want me to, I've been doing these on Instagram, folks. I've been doing these every day. And if you go sign up for my Instagram, what do? People sign up or click on and become a liker or something. I've been doing these things every day. I do a little walk and talk. They're anywhere from 15 seconds to about 45 seconds. And here, I'll play the one from today. It's a Friday. We're actually recording the Friday show on a Friday. And if you do the math, you'll realize the weekend is upon us. And that's when a lot of people like to put a little life into living. I get it. Your family wants to go out for pizza, ice cream, or what have you. So go do it. But just remember one thing. Your body never realizes it's the weekend. Stay motivated. You know what I mean by that, Anna?
Yep. I was the first one to click like on that video, by the way. You're welcome. I'm first.
Okay.
You're welcome.
People look, it's been up for an hour. Let's see how many views are inside.
While you're doing that, and now that the cameras are, I've been waiting to do this.
Go on. Oh, I could tell you. Oh, look at Anna. I have 1,300 in the first hour. 1,300 people have viewed it. So that's good. Usually people have been watching my little Instagrams to the tune of 14 to 17,000. So Anna is over there enjoying an ultra fat. Now, folks, this is not part of an ad or anything. She's mukbanging it.
We're doing a little mukbang.
A little mukbang. So, Anna,
I've been doing a meat happy challenge, which is mostly meat.
Yeah. How's that coming?
It's great. But what I was missing was ultra fat. Yeah. Honestly, I was like, if only I could have an ultra fat, it'll help me get through my meat challenge. And it has.
Look,
I'm just fine I want everybody to know I am just fine on track, dropping the inflammation that was occurring because I kept eating dairy. I feel better, and I'm still able to have one of these a day.
Anna, I got to tell you.
And I fucking love them.
I try not to.
Literally the highlight of my life.
No, everyone tells me, it's like, oh my God, how did you get this so right? right? And it's like, I don't know. I know what I like. I know, I've always liked food. I like the way things taste. And if I was going to put out a product that people can have instantaneously when they're riding a bike or camping or hiking or out on the tennis court, I wanted it to, it sounds like a Tampax commercial from, the
I
1970s.
got the little salty bits in that one, which I like because you go
A little
crunch,
crunchy crunch, yeah.
crunch,
Yeah.
crunch.
Yeah, everyone seems to love that product. And I hate to talk about it because it sounds like I'm just bragging about something I came up with, but
I feel like you should only talk about this from now on for time immemorial.
Anna, let me get you some motivation. But thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying my product over there. You're welcome.
I'm going to do my cheese crisps, and then this and the cheese crisps and like a salami would be like the ultimate perfect snack.
Good.
Okay, go ahead with your motivation. I'm going to eat my snack.
All right. So this morning, I have to do things in accordance with work. I'm a very, very fortunate person. I get to work from home, but there are things, I have times when I have to be on the phone, times when I have to be on the computer, times when I have to podcast or do, videos or what have you. So, but there's time in between that. So every day is different. Each day is like a weird kind of snowflake around me because none of them are like the other day. So I have to pick and choose when I'm going to exercise. And I usually look at it the night before and have a plan. And I'll go, okay, I can do my aerobics here. And then I can, I'm going to be talking to people for 2 hours. I can walk the dog, what have you. Well, this morning I got up, I did the rowing machine for, 45 minutes. And then I got on the phone and I started walking. And it turns out it's really hot here today. Just humid and hot. It's 90 degrees. The humidity is high. As a matter of fact, halfway through the walk, I had to bring Bonzo back because dogs can only take so much. They can't sweat.
Right.
That's it. So Bonzo had to come home and get in the cool air and the whole thing. And I just continued on walking and talking to people. And I was pretty much drenched. This is maybe my third t-shirt I've had on today. And so after that, I cooled off and now it was time, I had another phone call and then a Zoom meeting. And now it's time. Today is leg day. And I'm already fucked. I'm already done. Right. I've hit the rowing machine that morning. I was out in that heat for more than 2 hours and I'm walking quick pace, the whole deal. And that's when you start talking to yourself. That's where the ego start to have a little conversation. Right.
Right.
And especially on leg day, man, you're always looking for an out.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe, I don't know, my back is kind of tight. I start lying to myself. Oh, my back is tight. Maybe I'll just stay in my office here and get on that yoga mat and do my own little yoga class for an hour. And then I started thinking, okay, but tomorrow I'm supposed to go with Dave the kayaker, and we usually go for 2-3 hours. And then I'm not going to want to do leg day after that. Besides, it's Saturday. I got yard work to do. I got things to take care of and what have you. And so I was like, well, then I could push leg day to Sunday. Now you're pushing it. You see, you start making up stuff. So the one thing I knew I didn't want to do was to go to the gym. Well, I knew it wasn't going to happen here in my squat rack in my gym because left to my own devices, I would have started puttering around the office and it wouldn't have happened. So I had to go outside. I had to leave my house and go to the gym in town. And I even told myself when I got there, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go in and I'm going to just do leg extensions, leg curls, and leave. Now, I normally don't even do those in my workout, right? I go right to compound movements, squats, lunges, deadlifts, leg press, get the hell out of there. But not today. I did leg extensions and leg curls, bodybuilding exercises. And you might ask, well, why would you do that? And the reason being is I walked in there, I was feeling lazy, I was feeling tired, I didn't feel like I wanted to do it. Yeah, that happens to me too. I've been working out since 1970, and that will actually happen to me too. So I always know that if you can back your way into an exercise routine, you'll start to feel energy. By the time I got done doing 3 sets of leg curls, started feeling a little better. I ended up doing 3 sets of leg extensions, started to feel a little better. I did 2 sets of lunges with no weight, 25 each leg times 2. Now I'm feeling a little better. And then it happened. Girl walked into the gym. Not any girl, that girl. The girl who I'm helping to build a better routine. This girl who I'm training for, I was like, look, I'll just train you for free. She's coming in from a lunch hour. And now this woman has 2 kids at home. She works 2 jobs. She works all weekend. She told me her life story, and she's there on her lunch hour. She's got to get in there and work out and leave. And I'm looking at that going, man, look at that woman. I'm just a big old fucking pussy. I'm just a big old wimp. And right then and there, my 3rd set, I threw a bar on my back for those lunges. 4th set, put some weight on that bar. And then I moved on to squats. Deep, I'm talking ass to grass. That's right. I'm 60 years old coming up. Ass to grass.
Ass to grass, baby.
I was dropping it like it was hot, Anna.
Yeah.
Like they used to say, when was that, the 90s? When were they dropping it like it was hot? Was that the early 2000s?
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Wait, is that Snoop?
Who did that song?
I'm going to find out.
We need to know.
We're going to sound like a bunch of old white people because we do not know who did.
Yeah, but
like it's hot. But it is the catchiest. It's Snoop Dogg. Okay.
That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Featuring Pharrell Williams. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for shizzle.
Can you hear it?
No, I can't. But we can't play it anyway because I have the video on.
It's such a good song.
Yeah, don't play it, Anna, because I don't want to get knocked around on YouTube. Maybe we'll finish the show with it. So at any rate, now I'm motivated. I went from being so tired that I was just going to lay on the floor and pretend I was doing yoga to stretch a back problem I didn't have.
Just to satisfy it because you just felt lazy. You're like, well,
you see, we're never as brilliant as when we're justifying our own bad behavior. And I was creating a thing. And I was looking at the watch going, well, I got Anna in 2 hours. So I don't really
2 hours.
Time. And I was just making up.
You'll be proud of me at 11:30 when I knew we had to talk at 12. At 11:30, I was like, I have just enough time to go blast out some arms and then run back and try to throw makeup on my face and then get on. And I did.
Yeah. But you see, it's the thing.
I wasn't trying to make lame excuses like you were, Vinnie.
Well, look, they say,
I love this is the one time ever in history that I was more motivated than Vinnie ever.
Well, look,
so I'm going to ride this wave.
Realize that, people that do this for a living and people that are very good at it, we're not beyond feeling like crap sometimes. And you just don't want to do it. And look, if I miss a day, does that matter? No, but I looked at the next day. When you're going to miss a day, you got to look at the next day. And okay, well, I'm doing something on that day that's going to preclude me from wanting, because it's going to be hot as hell tomorrow. You're in that kayak for 3-4 hours. You're pretty dehydrated when you get back. The last thing you want to do is, boom, right? So that's where I was with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. So, when you start with that, and then I'm going to be working on building the other kayak on Sunday. And, when I come back from that, I don't mind. I'm on my feet all day. I don't mind coming in and doing aerobics, but I'm not going to do aerobics and weights, especially when I'm going to be gone all day. I got to take care of the dogs, the cats, do some yard stuff and everything.
You've got a menagerie over there.
Yeah. And I'm the only one that's running the show right now. So it was important for me to just go, I'm going to walk in there and do 2 exercises and walk out. And by the time I left, some woman who couldn't be 34 years old, 33 years old, came in. That motivated me. The fact that the woman who's looking at me to teach her, she walked in and I went, you know what? I got to put on my big girl panties now and I got to get this shit done. And sometimes that's just the way it works in life, folks. It just does. And so I was motivated by someone I'm teaching. And I got a great workout. I feel good now. I don't feel as run down as I did before. haven't eaten yet, drinking some espresso here, doing what I have to do. I've been taking so much of this stuff, my Pure Vitamin Club.
Oh, the ultra salt.
This one's almost empty. Look,
Vinnie,
you'll see. I keep 2 of them on my desk. I keep this stuff all over my house.
I ran out 2 days ago and I freaked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can't believe I let myself run out. And then I realized that I had another drawer where I keep all my extras. But like, I also have another drawer where I keep all and it was in that drawer that I don't think of. And I felt such a sense of relief.
Yeah. We had
it's the little things, honestly, Vinnie. Knowing that I had more ultra salt to take made me really happy. All that stuff.
Look, I mean, we had a run on the market on that for us. And by the time this comes out, we're going to have a ton of it because it's being manufactured right now. But because we're doing this podcast about 3 weeks, almost a month ahead of time. But yeah, the ultra salt, we cannot keep that stuff in the summer going into the fall. I tell people stock up when we have it. It never goes bad. You can keep it forever, even though they make us put like a sell by date or something on it by law. That product never goes bad, never goes stale. And it's all minerals. Minerals have been in the earth for a gazillion years, and just there they are. So no, at any rate, it's amazing how sometimes you start lying to yourself and making up excuses. And look, this doesn't happen to me, but one day of excuses turns into 2, turns into 3. Before you know it, it's a week, and on and on and on. Right. See,
for me, I feel like the level of how sad I would feel and just I can't describe it. It's like a weird, if I were to go 2 days without exercise, it feels like, it's not like I'm sad. It's not like I'm weepy. I'm not like sad. You know what I mean? But it's like a out of sorts, sad, kind of like just, I don't feel like myself. It's so hard to describe. And then what always fixes that 1,000% of the time is exercise. And then I go, oh yeah. So I learned that early on enough in my 20s and 30s. And I think that's because now I wasn't an athlete at all by any stretch of the imagination, but I was dancing 6 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Which is very athletic. Folks, she was in ballet when she was, 4 or 5? How old were you? Anna?
4 onward. And so when I wasn't dancing 6 hours a day when I was 4, obviously. But by the time you get older and more developed and you're on point, you're doing it all the time. And when I wasn't doing ballet, I was doing jazz. I was doing, and then in high school, I was playing field hockey. So I was playing sports. It wasn't like, but mostly everything was dance centered. And so I realized that when you stop doing that, something happens with your body. You know what I mean? Like in your brain chemistry.
Right.
That you really do use that to stay focused because your body gets up to speed with that level of use.
Oh, absolutely.
And you don't think that. And so when we're constantly thinking like, oh, I haven't exercised in forever, or like I'm a whatever, I feel like a couch potato because I haven't done the thing. And it's like, once you start doing it, you're just going to feel so much better. I've never, ever in my life done a workout, a class, a walk, a jog, or anything. And then Ben at the end said, I wish I didn't do that. Like never, not once.
Yeah, no. And look,
unless you've totally injured yourself, obviously, then they'll be like, I wish I didn't injure myself, but you'll never say, I wish I didn't take that time and exercise. Like you're never going to be like, you always will. It will always be a good thing for you to do. And also, I agree that about having sex with your partner too. Same thing about having sex with your partner. Do it. Have sex.
Yeah. Have yourself a lot of sex.
I think you should, because then you get older and you don't want to have as much sex.
What are you talking about?
Have all the sex.
I'm older. I'm still having some sex.
I know you're still having some sex. That's the key word.
I did. I'm going to emphasize.
Come on. You're the same level as 25-year-old boning Vinnie.
God, no, man. That guy was ridiculous. I can't even lie.
Ridiculous.
I cannot even lie about 25-year-old Vinnie. It was a bloodbath down in New Orleans. It was just, I was
literally.
I was slaying. But I don't know how we got onto that because
I'm just saying, just one of those things. I've never been like, oh, I wish I didn't have sex with my husband just now. Like what? You never say that. Of course, I'm talking about it if you have a partner and you're consensual. So don't write me saying like, well, not all sex Of course, I'm not talking about that.
We're finding out now, we talked about it on the recent podcast, that young kids are not having their, speaking of which, I think
they're not wanting to do it. Hi.
Now.
Oh, there's an arm with a plate of something. You want to walk in here?
Got to go get it. Come on. He's not walking in because he's probably not dressed. Go get it.
Oh, maybe he's not wearing any pants.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, thank you.
What did you get, Anna? What did you get?
Fried up some ham for me.
Oh, nice.
Someone is going to get laid later.
Oh, yeah. Someone's getting the special.
You bring a pork product to me.
Yeah.
I will please your pork product.
You're going to get pork.
Yeah.
So no, look, we talked about it in a recent podcast on Monday. You know, these kids, you know, sex is a major part of it as kids, and they're just not. Some kids are leaving high school without having any sort of sexual experience, and that includes kissing. And I don't know what that means or what that is, or you know what it is, but there we have it. You know, you made me think of something when you were talking about the 4 or 5 hours of exercise you were getting when you were dancing. And, you know, when I played football, that was a year-round endeavor. You know, I was always in the gym, always working out, always on the field sprinting and trying to get faster and so on and so forth. And as soon as that was over with, I kept up the weightlifting for a while. But there was no reason to perform anymore. I didn't want to be the guy that can prove I can lift 4 or 5, you know, on a bench press, or 550 on a squat. You know, the whole thing. There was nothing else to prove. But one of the things that happened, and I showed a picture in my book. When I want to see if I can find that picture, because I have a book right here I just signed that I have to send to someone. Let me see if I could find that photo, because we put some photos in the book. If I can find it, I'll hold it up in the camera. Let's see if
you're going to get a lot of emails now about people wanting signed books, because you just said you're signing and sending a book to somebody.
This person's dying of cancer, folks. So
okay, well,
if you're dying,
guess what, guys? You get a signed book when you're dying of cancer.
This is the photo, and I don't know if you can see it, but I put that photo.
I remember that photo.
Yeah. It was me. I put that's as close as I've ever had to a gut, but at 6 feet tall, I was 270 pounds there. I'm holding it. Can you see it? Is it enough to where you can see it in the camera?
I know people hate this phrase, but I mean this earnestly.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, I would never have guessed you're 270 pounds. You wear it well.
Yeah, because
I know that's a horrible thing to say, but still.
It was all over my body. I had the big giant butt, the big legs, the whole thing. And and of course I had a porn stash there. So
that was 50 pounds right there.
Oh, easily 50 pounds. So, but yeah, the bottom line is I was all of a sudden, I was still working out. Listen to this very closely, folks. I was still working out, but I was no longer on training table. So all the eggs I was having for breakfast, all the meat I was having for lunch and dinner, all of it was now gone from my life. I was still exercising in the gym. There was never going to be any football for me ever again. I was still working out, but I was eating a little something called ramen noodles. And
I forgot you say it, ramen noodles.
What is it?
Ramen noodles. Yeah, that's what you mukbang is, ramen noodle. I'm gonna mukbang some zucchini noodles.
Okay.
Next show.
Yeah. Right now she's mukbanging some pork.
It's so good. I'm dancing while I'm eating ham and just listening to you talking. It's awesome.
I'm over here watching you eat, and it's not pretty. And the other thing that pisses me off is that you have.
Because I dance when I eat.
Well, you have such an incredible voice that with a mouthful of pork, you still sound better than me, which really pisses.
America's angriest trainer.
Yeah.
Vinnie's harder.
Okay, so I'm eating ramen noodles. I start eating pasta, like, a big plate of pasta, and I would put butter in it, because I was trying to buy stuff that I could get for almost free, because I had zero money. And so I'm like doing stuff like, it's like, going on dates or anything became, I was still in college. That became nothing. If you didn't want to go take a walk with me in the park, there was no date involved, that kind of thing. And, I just started gaining weight. And the first thing I thought was, oh, it's because I'm not playing football anymore. But I started thinking about that. It's like, well, wait a minute. I only played football between August and November end of November every year. And this wasn't even that time of year. Why am I all of a sudden gaining fat now? And I never did before. And I went, oh, I don't have a university paying for me to eat meat and eggs and everything. So I started doing things like going home on the weekends to visit Cy and Marie, and there was always a lady down the street who had chickens, and I would bring as many dozen back as I could. And, or, just go eat with them. It was worth it for me to drive home and go eat with my, because I knew it'd be fish or meat or something. But still, I was getting fatter and fatter because I couldn't afford to eat. And here I am, I'm like 21 years old and I'm looking at this. And that's when I decided to buy a bicycle, because I went, oh, okay, I just need to, look at these Tour de France guys. Yeah, they're lean. So I bought a bike and started anywhere I had to go in New Orleans, because I used my gas money to buy that bike. I'm a guy that, Anna, you and I have talked about this. We're both very good with money. The little money I had stuff parsed out for everything. This is gas money. This is insurance for my car. And I was working and I was paying for all that stuff. I took my gas money and bought a bike. And so then I said, anywhere I want to go, I have to go on the bike.
Yeah.
Right. So if I wanted to go get groceries, I would take my same book bag I was using at school. I would empty it out and go to the grocery store. Whatever could fit in there is what I bought. It was mostly ramen noodles and vermicelli. And
I would buy ramen noodles because they had a special at the Piggly Wiggly near Emory. They had a special where it was 17 packs of ramen noodles for $1. And that was days upon days of meals. Yeah. And then you could get that Weiler's Kool-Aid, which Weiler's is the cheap brand in the South of Kool-Aid. Weiler's packets of Kool-Aid. And I'm calling it Kool-Aid because I don't know what the heck you call it.
It was just called
Kool-Aid, but it was Weiler's.
It was like lemonade in a packet.
Yeah. It was like a cherry drink or a grape drink or a lemonade.
Another product I never had, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure you haven't. Or Kool-Aid. You probably never had that.
No, I remember having Kool-Aid a couple of times because,
Well, the only reason I got it, because I never was like, oh, yum, Kool-Aid. Like, I got it because it was literally because I couldn't afford other kinds of calories.
Really?
Does that make sense? And it was 27 cents for a whole bunch of packets of Weiler's. And so it was like, I would have Weiler's for
I don't remember
months on end.
Ramen noodles being that cheap. I remember they were pretty cheap.
Well, that was a special that they had. So I knew they had the special and I could go get it for $1.
Because that had to be a loss leader, because I remember we would get like 8 or 10 of them for $1. And that was like a big deal. And I'm old.
No, it was like a crazy thing where they expect you're going to buy more groceries. And I was like, nope, I have $1.50 to spend and I'm going to buy my ramen and my Weiler's.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to get calories on me.
So the next thing I figured out was I was just riding my bike everywhere, and it was helping a little bit. Anywhere I had to go on a bike, and then after class, sometimes I would just ride up and down St. Charles, just to ride because I was enjoying it so much. And then I figured out a lot of the girls would go run around Audubon Park. It was a 2-mile loop right across the street from Tulane, and I didn't have like a speedometer on my bike or anything. I just knew that it was 2 miles. And I was going to just go make a couple of loops counterclockwise to how these chicks are running, because I can, hey, how you doing? Hey, you want to meet a little later and do nothing with me because I'm broke and your dad is rich. That's why you're at Tulane. So I would do that. And I started noticing that I was less interested in the girls and more interested in the laps. Because I'll show you what I would do. I'm going to use this to show you. Pretend this is my key ring, right? I would take my key ring and, your hands are on the handlebars of the bike, and I would put it on my first finger On the second lap, I'd put it on my second finger. Every lap, I would move it to a different finger. And then after 4, I would move it to the other hand. So after I did both hands, that was 8 laps.
Oh,
So,
I bet that was so like, it felt good to move it over because you're like, yes.
and the laps would go by really fast. And I remember when I got to 10 laps, it's like, wow, let's see. I rode down St. Charles to Lee Circle and back. So that was 5 miles there, 5 miles back. That was 10. And I went around this thing, 10 times. So that's 20, that's 30 miles. And I started doing that in my head. And then sometimes I would go, okay, let's see. I went down to Lee Circle and back twice. So that's 20 miles. And I went around this thing 20 times. So that's, 40 miles. And I just started doing that kind of thing. And one day I went, wait a minute. Donaldsonville is only 75 miles from here. I can start going home. And when I went home, what I started learning was my parents, and I hate taking charity, and I never wanted to take money from my parents after I turned 18, because my brother Michael was already, he had he was feeding a kid at that point. He's 22. He's got like a 4-year-old or something. And I'm like, wow, this is weird, but my mom was like, hey, we bought all this extra tuna fish, these cans, and I would throw them in my backpack and ferry tuna fish back to New Orleans the next day when I rode the 75 miles back.
Right.
And then I started noticing that if I just boiled rice, right, and I would put the tuna fish in the rice and just mix it together, tuna fish and rice, and I would put a little olive oil in it just to give it some taste. And I didn't cook the tuna fish. The rice would still be hot, and I would put the tuna fish, just mix it in.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting protein again.
Right.
Right. And I started noticing I'm eating more of that, and I'm eating less, and I'm getting the eggs, I'm getting everything. And then my body immediately started responding to that. Immediately.
Interesting.
And that's when I went, okay, this ramen noodle shit, gotta go. It's gotta go. I figured out a way around it. Right. And as soon as
that's really smart of you I didn't figure it out until I did the zone diet, which the zone was even still heavy in carbohydrates compared to how I eat now. But like, that was the first time where I was like, oh, more protein is, because I was smack in the middle of that target age group. So I graduated college in 95, right? That was right at the height of the snack wells and the low fat and sugars added everything. And as long as it said low fat, I was doing the right thing. And I was super thin, not realizing that I had celiac disease the whole time and was never digesting a nutrient my whole life. But you know what I mean? So I had such a disconnect that I didn't notice until I increased protein because of like the zone diet, which was probably late 90s.
Well, I started figuring this out because when I would eat the ramen noodles or vermicelli, I would go back and make some more. It's like, I need to boil more of this. I couldn't get full on it, right? It was like,
you were so hungry.
The more I wanted to eat. But whenever I put the tuna fish with the rice, I would eat that and I would go, oh, I feel full the way I used to feel full on training table. And I didn't understand the hormone connection to it at that point. I just knew I needed more protein. I needed more meat in my diet. At one point I got, because I used to bounce at night, and I figured out one day, one of the other bouncers
bounce said, like at a bar, bouncing.
Yeah. Very nice. They didn't call us bouncers. We were doormen because it was nicer clubs.
Right.
And
Did you ever have to throw people out?
Oh, I've been beat up people and everything else a lot. If we ever
what? We need to talk about that. Why have we never talked about that? I bet you have stories.
I got stories you wouldn't believe. I ended up going to court. I had guns pulled on me and all kinds of stuff.
That sounds like a terrible job.
One of these clubs I worked at was called Studebakers. It was kind of a theme club. It was like 50, like all the waitresses had to dress in cheerleading outfits. I don't think that shit would fly today. I had to wear a blue blazer with a certain kind of tie, and I had to have saddle Oxfords. I had to look like I was from 1955, right? So I was the doorman there. And one day, one of the other doormen said, hey, man, can you take my shift for me? Because, it's an early Friday shift. I have to go somewhere with my wife and my girlfriend or something. Absolutely. So I went there, and it turns out that was the happy hour shift where they put food out. And there was a lot of protein on that happy hour thing. You see, I was always there late at night. I just started getting every shift like that I could, the happy hour shift. And now I had another place where I can eat for free, right? You just go in the back and just eat. No big deal. Linfants was another place. That was an establishment that may or may not have had family connections. And Linfants hired me to be a bouncer there. And I did, and 4141, anyone that lives in New Orleans that remembers these famous discos, I worked at all of them. Linfants, 4141, Studebakers out in Metairie, as they call it. And I would just go from club to club. I just worked for all of them and figured out, oh, wait, they all have happy hours. I need to start working those happy hours so I can get meat. And the more meat, the more stuff like that I ate, I just went right back to the body I had before, except now with the cycling and everything else, I was getting leaner. I was getting a different body. I was looking different. And now I'm a guy who can ride a bike 75 miles to go visit a very young Maori, right? And so, you know, and by the way, they used to be amazed by that. They were like, you're not tired? You don't want to take a nap? It's like, no, I feel invigorated.
Yeah.
Especially since you're going to make me some fried catfish here. You know, that kind of thing.
Speaking of fried catfish, we're going to talk about that in a second before we wrapped up.
Yeah. We're going to get to your thing, but
yeah.
You understand, like all of this happened by me just going, wow, food really matters. Right. And you remember my story of being in the lab when my calorie in, calorie out thing happened. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm interested in food and how it reacts with your body. And that girl, Linda, handed me those M&Ms. That's all that stuff was happening at that time. So when Adam Carolla says to Dr. Drew, why don't doctors know this? Why did some idiot that was born on a bayou figure all this stuff out? Well, I just happened to be interested in one subject, and I was interested in how I ended up getting a gut on me while I was working out like a fiend. It wasn't making sense. And the only thing that changed was I went from training table where I can have steak for breakfast. This is the early 1980s, folks. This is what I was going through, to now I'm eating ramen noodles and vermicelli because it was all I can afford. Right. And by the way, let me just finish the story by saying,
yeah, do it.
When I first got on the bicycle, I was always riding it. I didn't see much weight loss happening just from doing that. Right. So it wasn't just getting on the bike and started losing weight. It was more than that. Right. It had to be the diet change. It had to be bouncing at the right clubs, working at the right time, getting the food I needed, getting the cans of tuna fish when I went to Donaldsonville, and on and on and on. And by the way, I worked so many jobs, I started making money pretty fast and started being able to buy my own tuna fish and everything else. So, and by the way, I still can't eat tuna fish anymore because
I've always hated canned tuna. I tried it. I hate it. I hate tuna melts. I hate tuna salad.
I
love an egg salad. I love a chicken, but tuna, that just reminds me of.
It brings me back, man.
Exactly.
That's exactly all. It was. And by the way, I was eating like that when I got to LA. I was, you know, when I was modeling and I was all ripped out, you know, the conch shell pictures and all the other pictures like that. You know, though in those days, I, you know, was like, where's my tuna fish? You know, I just kept that going because it worked, right? Red meat, tuna fish, you know, what have you? Eggs, more eggs. Did I mention eggs?
Yeah, eggs.
Oh boy. And by the way, I don't know why I'm still not tired of eggs. Maybe it's because I don't taste most of them, because I shouldn't say this on a podcast because you can get salmonella by doing this, but I drink a lot of them. I'm not suggesting you do that, folks. Cook your eggs. You eat them raw, you're taking a chance on salmonella. So there you have it.
Fried catfish. You wanted me to tell you how to fry the catfish.
Anna, if you could tell me how to fry catfish and somehow make it healthy. Now, as you know, I'm going to deep fry them in tallow, so I'm not going to use seed oils. May I start with that?
Yep.
Okay, I got my tallow. I got my deep.
You don't have to ask me permission to cook things in tallow.
I just want to know. So how are we going to make this catfish without using grains?
Okay. There's a couple of options that you can do, Vinnie. Number one, First of all, I have a recipe at my Substack and on my YouTube. The full video is there, called a deconstructed fillet of fish. It's the same idea as with the catfish, right?
Okay.
Catfish is a little firmer than cod. It'll take a little bit longer to cook. And we're not deep frying, we're pan frying. So you can cook it in olive oil, tallow, coconut oil, whatever oil you want to cook it in. But dry off your catfish fillet. So I'm assuming you already got it butchered and ready to go in fillet form.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Even if I got it bone in, I know how to fillet.
Okay, so you're gonna fillet your catfish.
Yeah.
And season it with salt and pepper.
Do people know what fillet means?
It just means
take a fillet knife and you scrape it off the bone. Do they know?
That's where it comes from, but it basically means like a steak of catfish, where it's no bones in it, no pin bones. You want it ready to go.
Okay.
As opposed to like a side of fish is where they fillet a giant side of the fish, literally a side of the fish, and they take out all the pin bones. But a fillet is cut into portions. So you're going to take your catfish fillet, or you can use any white fish that's thick and sturdy, like a halibut or a cod. Season it with salt and pepper. Make sure you dry it off. Season it with salt and pepper. Because a lot of times fish, if it's not fresh, if you didn't catch it yourself, a lot of time you think it's fresh, but it actually came frozen. And when you bring it home, it gives off a lot of water because when it was frozen and then it defrosts, it oozes liquid.
Right.
So, and then in some cases, like with mussels and with not mussels, what's it called? Scallops.
Yeah.
Yes, I got your text. With scallops, they inject it with a saline solution to keep them looking more plump. And then you bring them home and they kind of...
Do they really?
Yeah. That's in Larry Olmsted's book, Real Food, Fake Food. Remember we had him on the show several years ago?
Yeah, but I didn't remember that. That kind of...
You guys go read this book. You want to be educated about what to buy at the grocery store, and then also simultaneously outraged about the trickery that happens that is just allowed. It's just allowed.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much of it.
I guess the FDA just looks the other way. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, look, I was talking to, I'll tell you the guy's name. Who was it? Ryan. I was talking to Ryan this morning, and he was like, well, why do they get to, you're saying this is made up, the whole thing. I said, look, the thing, and folks, remember this, when it says nutrition facts, nothing could be further from the truth. There is no fact about the nutrition in anything. Zero facts.
Right.
The facts are right next to that where it says ingredients.
Yeah.
Because they, by law, they have to tell you what's going into your body. And so they can lie under nutrition facts, but they can't lie under ingredients.
Well, or can they?
Well, they do, because they put less than a certain percentage of 7 different sugars.
Mm-hmm.
They can still say 0 sugar. But they call it, citrus juice, and they call it, you name it, they call it 20 different, mostly concentrates.
Okay.
Just had a seed.
I was just looking at your thing. Okay. So, back to our
Are you back again?
I'm back. I'll tell you what just
did
happened.
You write to?
We're off the air.
Did you write to me?
No, but I got it. I will do that. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, but I was wondering why that threw you so much.
No, something just happened. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay, good.
Bad? No, I don't know. Is anything good or bad? We don't know.
Does anybody
know
what time it is? Does anyone really
no
about time?
So season your catfish with salt and pepper. And I know you'll do a good job of that. The idea of replacing fried coatings, right? We coat the chicken parm, we coat the catfish, we coat the whatever we want to pan fry and do a coating. We coat the onion rings, we coat the calamari, we coat, I like to do the zucchini parm bites, and dip them in the thing.
Right.
I oftentimes will use almond flour. Here's what I'll do. And you kind of got to figure out what works for you. Almond flour, pork rinds crushed up, no flavor. You got to get the pork rinds or the pork panko, whatever it's called, where it's crushed up with no added flavor. Flax meal or ground flax is what it's called. And Parmesan cheese. These
Okay.
all seem to make wonderful coatings. Now, the pork rinds and the almond flour work great completely on their own. If you want to get more of it, because what you're going to try to do with fried catfish is you want more of like a cornmeal crust.
Right.
So I'll be honest with you, if you do have some ground flax, that will give it more of that crunch.
Mhm.
If you put that in with either almond flour or pork rinds. Now I said Parmesan because that is a great coating if you're going to fry up steak. I'm sorry, if you're going to fry up chicken or
Mhm.
do chicken fried steak. Adding in the Parmesan just gives it a nice savory thing. But usually for fried fish, we're not going to mix in the Parmesan. So, which brings me to another thing that people I think are afraid of ground flax because of the omega-6s. And what I want to say is that's not where our problems lie with
Right.
omega-6s. It's the seed oils. It's not sesame and it's not flax. Those things we use in such small proportions in recipes.
Right.
Is everything okay?
No, I tell everybody it's not the seeds, it's the seed oils. And they go, well, what's the
Right.
difference? It's like the process. By the time it's not even close to anything nutritious by the time they use chemicals to extract.
Yeah, it becomes just chemically rancid.
You might as well be taking, I'm
PUFAs.
not making this up, 3-in-1 oil from 3M that you would put in the sewing machine. You might as well use that. It is no difference. No different.
No difference. The Italians call it lampante. It's lamp oil. You burn it, you don't eat it. So
I have 2 lamps sitting right over there with lamp oil in them. Should
So
I go
you
drink that?
yeah. No, wait. That was a trick question. No, definitely don't drink that.
Don't drink what's in those
No. Sit down, Vinnie.
because
Sit down.
I have to use them sometimes to, I don't want to drink the oil because
Don't drink it because you have to save it for a power outage.
went out the other day,
Yeah.
we did a podcast with me with those things on. I have those lamps right there, Lampante lamps.
They're lampante lamps.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a little ground up flax is not the problem.
Yeah.
But it does give a nice crunch. That's going to be more similar to a cornmeal crust if you mix that in with almond flour or pork rinds. When I fry fish, I personally use almond flour because I think I have a mental thing about using pork rinds with fish, but you're welcome to do it. I think that's just, I'll use pork rinds in a coating for chicken parm, no problem. But for some reason with fish, I use the almond flour and sometimes with a little flax meal. You want to put a little garlic powder and onion powder in the mixture of the thing.
Sure.
Now, there are 2 different ways you can coat your catfish. I do it the quick and dirty way, which is I take the catfish and I just roll it in that almond flour, flax, garlic powder, onion powder mixture and start frying it. If you want to be super fancy, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to take a little coconut flour is very thin and very powdery.
Mhm.
And it's great for if you want to dust your fish, then do an egg wash, which is eggs and cream beat together into a wash, and then roll it in the thing. Then you're going to have a thicker crust.
That's the way you do
That's
it.
the one. That's the one you're going to want.
You saw me,
I know. I know you don't like my quick and dirty, but I like to get dinner on the table fast.
Yeah,
So I do my quick and dirty all the time.
No, you know what I like to get on the table fast? Nothing. It's got to be done right. If you're not gonna do it right, don't do it. And
another technique you can do to make the thicker crust is you take out some mayonnaise, or if you have homemade mayonnaise, take it out, put it in a separate bowl, and take a pastry brush and you brush the fish with the mayonnaise.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then you can roll it in your almond flour. It's just another way to do a thicker crust as opposed to an egg wash. But an egg wash is foolproof. It's,
I
as
like
old
the
as
egg wash
time.
because I know how to do it. Like whenever we'd
Right.
be at the camp, and we caught some catfish, my buddies all had camps growing up. I think one of my brothers has a camp now out on Lake Verret. And we would go out there and catch the fish and we got them and then fillet them. Sometimes we would leave them on the bone. You do that, the whole catfish. Whew, that's good too. You just skin them. And because catfish don't have scales, you got to skin a catfish. And just do them like that. Do the whole fish. Ooh,
Yeah.
gosh, I love that. But we would
So-
use, of course, the cornmeal and the flour and the whole thing. You
Right.
you would have to do both.
Yeah,
put
you
the
have to do both.
cornmeal and do the
If you're doing
water.
it traditionally, you do the flour and the
Yeah,
cornmeal,
yeah.
and you do
Of course,
you roll it in cornstarch first, then the egg wash, then the cornmeal flour mixture, and then you fry it.
Yeah.
Usually, and you put it in a basket and you deep fry
And
it.
it's just unbelievable. And
It's amazing.
of
Oh, it's so
course.
good.
of course, the inflammation that comes from it. And
Yeah, you wake up like,
It is- like a couple hours later, I'm just sitting there going, That was the best meal I ever had. I'm never going to do it. It's like when you drink too much. It's like that. It's like, oh, I'll never drink again.
Right.
Then, half a year later, I'm back in Louisiana going, it's been a half a year.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Well, that's, by the way, I'm glad you said that because that's human nature. And it would be really weird if you never had those moments. So we need to hear about those.
And that's why I tell people, people go, did you ever? And it's like, yeah, when I'm in Louisiana, I will, and I try to do them at the same time. I will get fried catfish and fried onion rings.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I usually only eat 1 or 2 of the onion rings because I don't want to fill up on that.
Right. You want to fill up on the fish.
I want the catfish. Yeah, I want to have the catfish.
So, and on my website, on this video too, I have a recipe for homemade tartar sauce. It's super easy and starts with mayo. So it's not like you're doing it scratch, but you're welcome to do scratch mayo. That recipe is in my first book, and using the dill in your tartar sauce and some relish and some other things. Yeah. So you pan fry, and here's the trick. You have to put enough oil in to pan fry. Yes, you're not deep frying, you're not submerging it, but you have to put enough oil in. And my trick is when you're ready to flip, and you have to be very careful because the coating wants to peel off the fish.
Right.
So you have to be very, especially almond flour seems to be the most tenuous at hanging on. Just, do the tongs gently. And when you get under it gently, when you lift the fish up to flip it, quick, put some more oil or lard or whatever on there and then put it in that. If you lift it up and it's a dry pan and you flip it over, it's not going to work right. Does that make sense?
I like to put a couple of inches, like an inch in there, and just submerge it like a deep
That's
fry.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. You can do that too. I'm just trying to, because I think people are also still afraid to cook with oil, olive oil, coconut oil, lard, tallow. People are afraid to cook with the stuff. And I'm like, you have to add it because it basically eats the oil while it's cooking. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, it does. And by the way, people are going to ask, what's tallow? I've never heard of that. Tallow is what we used to always use back when no one in this country was fat.
It's what McDonald's used to make their fries.
Yeah, that's why the fries used to taste so goldenly brown and the whole thing. It's just the only way to cook. Tallow is beef fat.
Yeah.
And, it's tasteless. It's pretty much odorless. You can buy it. I think we show it on my web. If you go to VinnieTortorich.com.
Yeah, there's a brand that does it.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I just keep a canister of it hanging around. Whenever I need a scoop of fat, I use that. I've been known to have a teaspoon of that. Like if I'm going to go out for a run or something and I don't have a time for a meal. And folks, if you have too much, it can get to you. You got to be used to doing this. I'll just put some on a teaspoon, just let it melt on my tongue.
I do that with coconut oil, but now that I have your nut butters, I do
salt on it. I'll just put it in my mouth. And people go, ugh, oh, really? It's like, oh yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
so
right. I'm not afraid of it. I look at my blood work. It's unbelievable. So there.
So you're frying your fish, and then you put it on your plate, and then you put the tartar sauce, and then you eat it. And you can do the same thing with onion rings. If you get a big, I like to use the Vidalia or the big sweet onions and cut them into thick slices so that can withhold, thick rings. And you can use the same oil and fry your onion rings in there too. And there you've made at least a little bit healthier. The onion rings recipe's in the first book.
The Vidalia onion is the best of all onions.
It is the far superior onion.
Yeah.
And I think they have them available more nationwide in August, but they are truly from Vidalia, Georgia, and they're in season in August.
Yeah. And
that is it.
Season is coming up. And
yes,
it's kind of, I think of Vidalia onion season the way, remember Kramer on Seinfeld when he got the Mackinac peaches and there's only I'm like that with the Vidalia onions. It's like, I will literally.
I'm like that with the hatch chilies in August. I will drive to New Mexico if I have to.
That's another one of those things. If you can make yourself, I'll make myself like a 12-ounce hamburger patty, and I'm holding my hand about like that. A big giant patty, real thick, and it's really good ground beef that I went and sourced myself, and I'll just get it on both sides, leave it real pink in the middle. And then I'll get a nice slab of Vidalia that could cover that.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a big, thick piece of tomato on top of that. Then I'll get that good, thick Maldon salt and put it on that. Oh, wait, hang on. I left out one part. I'll put a piece of cheese before I put everything on that. And then I'll just eat it with a knife and fork. Just sit there and eat it like a steak. The best meal ever. And by the way, teach people how to grill that Vidalia I call it the Vidalia steak.
You just put it on the grill. Put olive oil on it, put it on the grill.
Yeah.
So when I was at Villa Capelli in 2011, Paul made these cipollini onions, which have recently in the past couple of years made it over here, but they're a smaller, they're almost like a smaller Vidalia is what they are.
Right.
And he roasted them in beef broth, and then you just serve them like that. And so now I take the Vidalias, and if you can keep them to where the weather turns colder and roast them in beef broth in the oven.
Good.
So good.
Yeah.
Just sit.
Speaking of Paul Capelli, he started a little company with his husband, Stephen Crutchfield, called Villa Capelli.
That's right.
Two gay guys ran off to Italy, and next thing you know, the best olive oil in the world is
classic Italian love story.
It's the story as old as time itself. And that's what they did. And Paul is not with us anymore. A guy couldn't give up the cigarettes and got the cancer. Love
That's
Paul
right.
to death. And miss him dearly. We all miss Paul dearly.
Very much so.
But his company is still going at it. By the time this show comes out, they will be selling here in the United States again. They get caught up in custom from time to time. So, oh, good. I hear the kids in the backyard. That means they're cleaning the rocks out of my pool. Love it. Good.
Oh, that's good.
I thought the cats were squealing. Yeah, I wrote to Cat, my neighbor. Cat, I have cats. I wrote to my neighbor and I said, hey, tell the kids to come over for a swim and get the rocks out of my pool because I keep blowing rocks into my pool.
Yes, sure.
Villa Capelli, best olive oil on the planet.
We're hoping it's back in stock by the time this podcast
It's
comes
going
out.
to be back in stock. Yeah, come on.
But if not, go to the website and enter your email address under the product you want to order, because you will be notified immediately when it's available. And that's the best way to notify yourself so you can make your purchase. And by the way, when you get that email, make the purchase.
Yeah.
Make the purchase.
Yeah, get it right away.
Use the discount code Vinnie, VINNIE. You'll get 10% off your order each and every time you order. We love it. We've turned so many, literally thousands and thousands of people onto this oil. It is the good stuff. You won't find any better. So get yourself some Villa Capelli olive oil. It's worth it, baby.
Anna, as you know, last night I did a pound of ground beef for dinner. Serena's still gone. I did the taco.
The taco dust.
Taco. Yeah, I love that taco dust.
It's so good.
So I went, you know what? I'm putting more. I love the thick, heavy, hearty flavor of it.
You did more than 2 tablespoons per pound of meat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went north of that.
I like your
Serena always says I go overboard.
Boldness. Yeah.
But, yeah, I did that. It was delicious. I did everything. I put some cheese in there. I grated the cheese. I put it in there. And then I put the tomato, and avocado. And then I took a spoon. I just whipped a big piece of creme fraiche on top. Oh my God. I'm still thinking about it today. 24 hours later.
And then I ruined it by sending you Lauren's plate of food, which is, we did a ribeye with the barbecue dust per your instructions.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine called me earlier in the day and said she made don't listen to this part. She made a pasta salad with chickpea pasta, and she used the dill and olive oil, and that was it. And so I thought, well, what if I did zucchini noodles with onion and the dill and olive oil? Oh my God.
Good.
It was so good. And then I sent you that. And then you were like, well, I enjoyed my taco meat until I saw that picture. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I thought I was doing great. And then you sent this picture. And I was like, geez.
You did great. You did great.
I did. Look, I'm doing what I could, folks. So go check out everything over at eathappykitchen.com. She also has books that will teach you how to cook. One is called Eat Happy. The other one's called Eat Happy 2, spelled Too. Both of those.
Get them both.
Amazon.
Buy both of them.
Yeah, get them together. As you know, folks, if you've listened to the show before, I buy a bunch of them around Christmas time, because the problem now is that I've done that so many years in a row. People are going, wait, I think, it's like,
they are. Everybody already got the book. Like, I got this book.
And I'm going, no, it's the second book. It's like, yeah, I got that the next year. I was like, this year I'm going to hand out your sauces. I'm just going to get your sauces.
You know what? My friend did that.
I'm just going to get the sauces and dust. I'm going to go, folks, you're welcome.
My friend got little kitchen towels and wrapped it around the sauce and tied it, and then gave it as like whenever she went over to someone's house or somebody came over, she's like, here's a present. And I was like, that is so clever.
You know, we keep a bunch of the little bags, little bags, and you put the tissues in there.
It fits in a wine bag, and then you're not giving wine. Especially when you don't know whose house you're going over to, you can give them sauce, and because you don't know if people drink or not.
I'm telling you, I'm going to start doing your sauce this year because it's an easy thing. I'm going to get a bunch of sauce, a bunch of the powder, and depending on who gets this, I'll give them this or that. Thank
you.
Oh, wait, hang on. That's not well thought out. Okay. This year I have to do one or the other, just across the board.
Because then next year you'll do a different.
Other. That's right. Yeah, because I'll mess up. There's no way I could keep that straight.
We don't want you to mess up.
It's not even Christmas time yet. I'm already thinking. All right, so go check out everything Anna Vocino is doing. You know what to do with me. We all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go there, please go to VinnieTortorich.com and click through the banner. It puts a little coal on the fire and it gets my train down the track. We also have a superfan page. You can check that out. You sign up for a superfan page, you give us a couple of bucks, and we can keep the show free. I have been doing more motivational stuff on my Instagram, so you can check that out.
I love it. I'm so glad you're doing it. I love those videos.
Instead of just haphazardly putting stuff up, it's like I'm putting these little motivational pieces up. Anna's doing the same thing over on her Instagram.
I'm doing so much cooking content over on Instagram. You guys,
you could be
never going to lack for ideas.
Yeah, go there so that you can learn stuff. And also, I've been sending out a newsletter. I've done it a couple of times now. I'm going to keep doing it because I was like, wait a minute. I have a gazillion names. I bet you these people would like to hear from me. Turns out the first list I sent out had a 78.8% open rate. And they said that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
If you get 25%, that's like crazy. But people are going, wait a minute. This guy's finally writing to me, and they all opened it. And
that's how happy they were to receive it.
Yeah. And the numbers have stayed high. Like I think the second one was like 65 point something or whatever, and it stayed there. So I'm going to keep sending out these emails because people seem to be liking them. So let me turn this off.